In this unit, we'll learn how to adjust our document by changing its dimensions, units, color modes, and more. I'm gonna go ahead and click Create New, and I'm gonna open a web large format canvas. If you want to adjust it once you already open it, you can use the artboard tool, which is right here on the toolbar, and the shortcut is Shift and letter O in your keyboard. Once I click on that, it gives me at the top here some presets that I can actually use. So I can switch it to a different format that already exists on the basic ones here. I can select the orientation if I want it to be portrait or landscape, and I can also rename it desktop ad if it was an ad design. And you can also adjust from here manually if you want the width and the height, as well as linking them or unlinking them. And by linking, I mean click on that icon, which creates a little chain. And that means that if I'm going to change the height, the width is automatically going to adjust so it keeps the same proportions as before. Now let's say that we want to add a second canvas, a second artboard. Because also in the physical world, when you're drawing, you're not just using one page. Sometimes you use 3 or 4 to create some different versions of the same illustration before you decide the last one. Or you just want to have the same illustration in different formats. The way to create a new canvas is to click on this plus icon right here. And this is gonna add an extra canvas, so we are on artboard 2 now. That was the previous one. Let's go ahead and switch the format, or perhaps let's go with something smaller. So this is gonna be for an iPhone X. It's gonna be portrait. So I'm just gonna change the name to iPhone ad, and job done. I've got my second canvas. I'm gonna design the same ad, but I won't have 2 versions for mobile. What you can do is either click on the plus sign and add an extra artboard, or select your artboard, hold the Alt key down and duplicate it. Just drag it, release your click and then the Alt key, and you will create a clone or else a new artboard. And in this case, it's gonna contain exactly the same graphics than the previous one. Well, if I would just create a new one, it would be a blank one. I can select multiple artboards by holding the Shift key down and clicking within them. And you might want to select them just to move them around, or even just select some of them. So if I want to remove one from the selection, I just hold the Shift key down and I click again on that. And let's say I want to move the mobile underneath the desktop and so on. You can also select, of course, individual ones and move them around and realign them to the space. If I'm gonna zoom out enough, you will see also the relation of your artboards with the full canvas. As you can see, this black line around is actually the edge of our canvas. Usually you can just work on a scale, which is gonna make it possible to fit everything that you need inside Adobe Illustrator, because as we said in Adobe Illustrator, you can actually scale your graphics as much as you want without losing any quality. So you can work in a 10% scale, let's say, and make your graphics bigger once you export them. But usually the canvas should have enough space for you to work on as many artboards as you actually need. In order to delete an artboard, all you need to do is select it, press the backspace or delete button on Windows, and you're just gonna get rid of that. The other thing is the arrangement of them. So if you want to rearrange them, you can either click Rearrange All, and that is gonna change how they are laying in the space. So they're just gonna become a bit more nice and tidy. Or you can go under Window and then Artboards and rearrange their position. So you see all the artboards that you have are actually here. So number 1 is iPhone ad copy is the second one. You can see this is number 1 and this is number 2. if I'm gonna switch the order just by clicking and dragging one to the other, you see that they swap also on my canvas. And that is quite important, especially if you have quite a lot of artboards, because it's the order also that they will be exported at. So number 1 is going to be your first slide, let's say if you're exporting a PDF, number 2 is going to be the second, and so on. So I would suggest to keep them nice and tidy, so from left to right and from top to bottom, to have a nice flow with the numbers from 1 to 2, 3, and so on. Once you just want to leave this tool, just press the escape button and you just release the canvas. So in case that you change your mind and you don't want to do any more like any mobile applications and you actually want to do something for print, if I'm gonna go ahead and change the canvas, let's say to A4, you will see that I'm still calculating in pixels, which is not as convenient. Also, I'm still on RGB colors. So in order to switch to CMYK colors and millimeters as a unit of measuring, you need to go to File and then Document Setup. From here, from the units, I can now switch to millimeters and I can press OK to apply that amount. Now, in order to change the color mode, you go to File and then Document Color Mode and CMYK colors. And as you see, my file is now CMYK and it calculates in millimeters. For any other kind of generic amends on your workspace, appearance as well as function, you need to go to Illustrator and then Preferences. You can see the different sections such as General, and you see all the options of what is visible and what is not. And you have Selection and Anchor Display, Type, Units, Grids and Guides, Smart Guides, and so on. Don't worry too much about them. We are gonna be going through all the tools and then they will start making more sense. But if you need any kind of generic adjustments to the software, please visit the Preferences section of Adobe Illustrator. Our document is ready for us to start learning the tools. In the next unit, we will learn how to use the shape and selection tools.